Hello, I'm Kelly Orchard. I created this video in November 2018. My dad, Ken Orchard, and I have been doing some videos about radio and Dad's long career as a broadcaster. I found this recording of an Aircheck from 1993 when we were operating our radio station, KVVQ, in Victorville, California. I didn't normally do the morning show, but was sitting in to sub on a date that happened to be the 13th anniversary of KVVQ. So I put together an anniversary show and invited my dad to share the story of the birth of his radio station. It was rare that Dad was on the air live, and I'm so glad I had saved this recording. I added pictures from the time period that we talk about. This rediscovered recording was 25 years old in 2018.
Well, thanks, John. It's 6:47 on this Wednesday morning, the 18th of August, and it is our birthday celebration, which is going to begin right after the 7 o'clock news. I've got some very interesting memories and nostalgia stuff. We've got some trivia questions, and we're going to give away lots of prizes. In the meantime, this is REO Speedwagon right here on the High Desert Light Rock Station, KVVQ FM. 103.1 in the Victor Valley, 103.7 in Barstow, the High Desert's Light Rock Station, KVVQ FM, with REO Speedwagon from 1988. And here with me, this is Kelly Orchard in for Brother Scott on our 13th birthday, August the 18th, 1993. We went on the air 13 years ago today. We're going to have the birthday celebration coming up at 7 o'clock. Thanks to Joyce Mackay for calling. I hope you're going to call back and give us some memories of what you remember of KVVQ, because I know you have some really good ones, Joyce, so you better call me back. All right, I'll be back with more Light Rock coming up on KVVQ FM. 103.1 in the Victor Valley, 103.7 in Barstow, KVVQ FM. Billy Joel, She's Always a Woman to Me from 1978. Kelly Orchard here, in for Brother Scott this morning on our anniversary show, which is going to start as soon as John Barry is finished with the news, and that comes up in just a couple of minutes.
At 7:30.
Back with more news, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready? All
Yeah.
right. Sit down. I have Dad in here because I thought he's the one that needs to actually start the story of KVVQ for us on our 13th birthday. So, Professor Q, take it away.
What do you want me to talk about?
Figures. Well, let me just start by playing some of the sounds of KVVQ when we first went on the air. Now, we began testing August 13th, 1980. That was equipment and modulation tests. Our actual first...
Ooh, can we hear some of those?
Well, we will, but let's go back just
I want to hear a modulation test.
Let's go back just a little bit further. About 3 years before that, about 1977. Kelly, can you turn down the headphones? You got... my goodness.
Sorry.
We're all deaf, Ken.
What?
We're all deaf.
What?
Anyway, about 1977, we came up to Victorville. There was about 4 frequencies left in California to build radio stations.
And there were about 4 people in Victorville at the
Right.
time.
We came up here actually to buy KCIN, or at least to look at it, inside information. And it was up for sale. And I asked the gentleman that owned it at that time, what about FM? And there was a church in town that had filed for it and run out of funds and then dropped their application. So we did not buy KCIN, and that's the one that Sid King bought. And we came up here in 77, and we looked at it, filed for the application. I think we finally got the construction permit to build it, on your birthday, Kelly?
On my 16th birthday. No, my 15th birthday.
15th birthday. And then we came up here, and then we decided to sell everything in the San Fernando Valley, and we were working at KHJ Los Angeles for 20-some years in the engineering department. And instead of being an absentee owner, we just moved the whole family. So it was a shock to the family. There was 4 children. Kelly is one of them.
It was culture shock.
And
Yes, I remember asking Scott once. I said, "Did you put up much of a fight when your family moved from the San Fernando Valley to Victorville?" He said, "I told my dad, I ain't going to Victorville."
it was like the end of the world, and the kids had their pet names for them. It was Hysteria and Crapple Valley.
And Hictorbor.
Victorville and so forth. And it was. Now, we moved up here in February of 1980. And in May at the fairgrounds, Ronald Reagan came out to a big rally, and all of the media was covering that. And during the summer, then we were building a radio station. Now, we were located on Civic Drive across from the police department, City Hall, and the county buildings. and we built the radio station over there. And we came on then with some equipment tests on the August 13th, and we're going to check out the transmitter and so forth and so on. And some of the things that we did right off the bat was that, John, I hope you remember all of this stuff, but there was car antennas for FM in 1980, naturally were the vertical antenna. And on the old FM radios, there was the horizontal bar across the back of old radios and tuners and so forth. Well, we came out with a circularization pattern, which was the first one in the area, which allowed us, it didn't make any difference if you were a car radio or if you were a radio in the store or whatever it is, you were going to pick up KVVQ FM. And by the way, the call letters, KVVQ, you get to choose your own call letters if they're not being used by somebody else. And so we came up with, we thought about VVC, Victor Valley Communities, but Victor Valley College, and that would have been a conflict. So we came up with Q, and we thought at that time in 1980 they were talking about going quad, which would mean that you'd come out with 4 speakers instead of the stereo that we have now. And there was some experimentation done with that. So we came up with a KVVQ, thinking, well, if we in the future if we ever go quad, or if it's cute, it's Q-tips, and we were doing some other things, and Kelly will get into that and so forth. But that brings you up to date. So anyway, we got on the air 13 years ago, and there was the 4 children, Brad and Buck and Scott and Kelly, and my wife Millie and myself, and that was...
See, now in 1993, there isn't a whole lot of people out there that realize that this is genuinely a family-owned and operated business, just like a lot of other businesses out there. We are not owned by a corporation. We are not a bunch of disc jockeys and employees that really don't give a darn about this radio station. I mean, we gave birth to KVVQ. It means a lot to us.
Kelly, basically, and so is the
I've
family.
grown up on this radio station. A lot of people have heard me from a 16-year-old who can't even announce a word to a 29-year-old who can't announce. So, well, I'm going to play this. This is one of the first station promos we ever ran. You ready, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Music for your day on the newest FM station.
This is Roy Rogers. Speaking for Dale and myself, I would like to welcome the newest station in the nation to Victorville, operating in stereo at 103 KVVQ Victorville. Happy trails.
It's the music station.
Pretty
cool.
nice, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Nice
Yeah.
jingle and everything?
Yeah.
And then we wanted to educate the listeners to FM radio. I mean, FM was still kind of a baby in
Up here anywhere.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and so we had these FM radio stories, and this is one of them.
KVVQ presents the FM radio story.
When a gourmet has a favorite dish or a connoisseur a favorite wine, it only follows that he would enjoy it more if he knew more about it. Somehow, the more you know about something you like, the more you like it. That's precisely the reason KVVQ has instituted the FM radio story. In the weeks ahead, we'll be discussing the aspects of KVVQ's 18-hour-a-day broadcast schedule. We hope the FM radio story enhances your enjoyment of the newest FM station in the nation, Stereo 103, KVVQ, Victorville.
How much coffee did that guy have before?
Listen, wait, John, the audience will be,
Wow.
I know, I know. It's not.
Before we get into that, we went on 18 hours a day, and we were the first stereo station, in the marketplace. When I worked at Los Angeles, I had exposure to all of these great voices. That man's voice is Lee Marshall.
Oh, that's Lee Marshall. Okay.
Now, where is he at today, John?
As far as the last I heard, he was running some kind of a financial radio network or something.
No, well, that maybe was what you heard, but you see, Lee calls me, and Lee is now a newsman on the K-Bond thing, whatever they're calling V103.
Oh, is he really?
Yes, he's the newsman out of a syndicated office in Los Angeles, and they
really?
sell out newscasts to different stations and so forth. So Lee called me. Well, anyway, Lee worked at KHJ while I was there. So I said, Lee, I've written these things. Would you voice them and so forth? And we put all the production together and had a whole bunch of those things with Lee Marshall doing them. In fact, and these guys did them free because they just loved. At that time, it was so great to be able to build a radio station, give birth to a new frequency, and then have the fun of building it and putting it all on and so forth. So when Roy Rogers came in and we said the newest station in the nation and so forth, there was only about 50 stations a year granted in the United States, not like what's going on in the last bunch of years and so forth. But that was very rare, and it was a great delight in 13 years ago. Next, Kelly.
I'm going to play another one of these station promos, and then I have something that, of course, Professor Q has a serious sense of humor. So first I'm going to play another station promo.
Music for your day on the newest FM station.
In stereo, fantastic. I have FM in my car.
A new radio station in Victorville? Great, we need one. What is it? KVVQ?
You're going to be on at night too? Yeah, KVVQ plays all my favorite songs without all that talking.
Hey, wow, I just bought a new stereo. Now I can listen to what is it now? KVVQ. Alright. That's great, man. Stereo. Alright.
We'll help you find a way. Here's your music station. A Q is the music station.
Now, John, do you know who that that voice in the last part was? Hey, well, man.
It sounded like Paul Rodriguez.
You know who that was?
Who was it?
That was Brother Brad.
Oh, was it really?
On his own promo, yeah.
Oh,
So Brad used to be very silly. Yeah, at 21 years old, he did that promo.
Oh.
All right, now this...
Wait a minute.
Oh,
John, little trivia thing. Anyway, we had fun in that was that, Kelly, who wrote the jingle then? Because we took the lyrics and rewrote that ourselves.
Scott rewrote the lyrics. The jingle company was...
we
TN,
submitted
wasn't
it,
it?
I believe so, and then we submitted the lyrics, and then they had the bed already done and so forth, and we ended up with that particular jingle.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just a real exciting jingle that hit 13 years ago when we came on the air.
The sounds of 1980. All right, now this is a thing that we used to do called Cornfucius.
Oh, Cornfucius.
Okay.
For years we worked in Los Angeles, and we keep going back to that, but every favorite disc jockey in the world that has ever been in Los Angeles came through the doors of KHJ. And all these guys used to record these things for me, and I would write these silly things, and all of these different promos and so forth. And one of them was we adapted a character named Cornfucius. Kelly, got to turn down my headphones again. You can get me too loud. Yes. And where was it? Anyway, the voice on the front of the Cornfucius that does the opening was Brother John.
Brother John
Reagan.
Yeah.
And he died several years ago, and I worked with him there in Los Angeles. And then Bobby Ocean is the Cornfucius character, and Bobby works up in the San Francisco area and worked at KHJ. And Bobby Ocean and we worked so long together every day, and we used to have this funny gag that everybody would walk in and see, this is Bobby Ocean, and we'd say that's not his real name. His real name was that of a famous movie star, so he had to adapt Bobby Ocean as his air name on the air for radio. Then everybody would always ask, well, what's his real name? Thinking that it was that of a movie star. We say it was Elizabeth Taylor. A joke. Anyway. And it was so anyway. We got all these people together, and we came up with Brother John doing the voice for the opening, and then Bobby Ocean playing the part of this Cornfucius. Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay, here we go.
KVVQ invites you to pause a moment in your busy day and listen to Victor Valley's resident sage, Cornfucius, the high desert's all-knowing master to the secrets of life through infinite wisdom. And now, observations from Cornfucius. KVVQ invites you to pause a moment in your busy day and listen to Victor Valley's...
Everyone here at KVVQ is celebrating Fair Week. Throughout all of Fair Week, I, Cornfucius, and many of my disciples will be in attendance. Look for us to be selling lovely memento mouse collars in booth number 103.
All right. So they were just little short tidbits.
Kelly will probably reinstitute all of them, whatever. Anyway, you notice how we tied it in, John, with booth 103 at the fairground. There is no booth 103. No. There was a booth 103. It was us. And anyway, no, the first year, talking about the fair now, that was, we just come on the air?
No, we weren't even on the air yet. We were about to go on the air because the fair was the beginning of August, and we came on, of course, on the 18th.
But we had some previous. Was it that year? Then we were in the cow chip.
The cow chip chucking contest.
And lo and behold,
that was one of the big events at the fair. They didn't have. I don't think they had even the rodeo in those days.
And
it was in the grandstands. They didn't have the concert series or anything else. So we met in the grandstands with all the other media in town, and chucked cow chips for a prize, and we won a trophy. We won first place.
Really?
Couldn't believe it.
Well, there was KCIN, and then there was Eva Conrad from the Apple Valley newspaper, and then the Daily Press was out there. And I got to play this before we move on. I got to play this. All right, Daily Press, which is now operated by publisher Maureen Brotherton, right? Well, before that, it was Tim Hoyles. So this is a visit.
Music for your day on the newest FM station.
We're visiting with one of the busiest men in Victor Valley. How do you like that, Tim, for an introduction? Is that pretty good so far?
Probably not too accurate.
Tim Hoyles. Tim, what's your title here at Daily Press?
I'm publisher of the Daily Press.
What does that mean?
That means that you are responsible for all phases of the operation of the daily newspaper.
And in the meantime, besides all of that great responsibility, in the background here in your deluxe office, and I have to say deluxe because I admire this office, you're listening to what radio station?
KVVQ.
Thanks for listening to us too, Tim.
Well, thanks for bringing KVVQ to the Valley.
We'll help you find a way. Here's your music station. The Q is the music station.
Okay, the sounds of 1980. Now, these are some of our trivia questions, folks. I have some great prizes to give away for you.
We're going to do a break first.
I'm going to. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to warn them, and then I'm going to do the break. Okay?
Can I go get a cup of coffee?
Go ahead.
And an FM cupcake.
An FM cupcake. All right, you go right ahead. All right, some of our trivia questions are going to be, who was the Q visit with? And also, I'm going to play a couple more of these station promos and ask you who these celebrities were that did promos for us on the air. Those are my first two trivia questions, so write those names down. I haven't done the other station promos yet that have the other celebrities. You know one of them. And write those names down, and when I ask those questions, the first person to correctly answer those trivia questions will get a KVVQ prize pack this morning. And I'll be back with more stuff for you from the sounds of 1980. 13 years on the air. KVVQ, happy birthday.
Favorite people in the entire world.
I know, like Julia Childs of Power Equipment. Right. All right, I'm going to play two more promos because one of the questions after the 7:30 news will be what celebrities had greetings on the air for us, welcoming the newest station in the nation. And also the other question is, who is the publisher of the Daily Press? So let me play these promos before you get into the news, all right?
So what they have to do is they have to pick the right ones from all three.
Right.
Music for your day on the newest FM station. In stereo we play for every generation. KVVQ, right here for you. The Q is the music station.
Okay, that was just the full jingle. That was the 30-second. All right, now here goes the other promos.
Hi, this is Barbara Feldon. For several seasons, I played Agent 99 on the Get Smart television show. The reason I bring up that number is to tell you that there's a new number now in Victorville. It's 103.1. It's the frequency on the newest station in the nation. It's pretty smart, too. KVVQ, Victorville.
The Q is the music station.
Cult classic there for you.
Okay.
Hello, John.
Yeah. Now, when? Tell me, pray tell, Professor Q, did you come across Barbara Feldon?
Well, everybody in show business, everybody in the world came through the studios of KHJ because it was AM, FM, and television. And, of course, that was in the heyday of reruns on Get Smart. And so Barbara Feldon came into the studio. Well, I'm always around, always the engineer or whatever it was. So I quickly wrote this and then handed it to the talent. And I said, get Barbara to read this. And, of course, it was a clever speech because she said she was Agent 99 and now there's a new number, Get Smart, and so forth. So anyway, so Barbara recorded that probably in about 78, 2 years before we came on the air, because we already knew the frequency, because we had the construction permit and the dial position and the call letters by that time. So therefore, in Hollywood, we're running around, or different people were going around. And a little bit later, have we got some?
I've got it
more
right now. Yeah, I want to play it right now.
Play another one then.
Music for your day on the newest FM station.
This is Elton John, and you're listening to KVVQ Victorville, one of America's great small-time radio stations.
This is Barbara Feldon, and I want to wish the very best to the staff and management of the newest station in the nation, KVVQ Victorville.
Hi, this is Roy Rogers. It's my pleasure to welcome KVVQ to Victorville.
Hi, this is Al Stewart, and congratulations to the new KVVQ. Now all my Victor Valley friends can hear my records in stereo.
Hello, this is Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, inviting you to listen to the new sound of Victor Valley.
We'll help you find the way. Here's your music station. The Q is the music station.
Pretty impressive,
Yeah, it does a lot for your credibility.
Elton John.
Jethro Tull is...
Elton John was in Los Angeles, and one of our reporters had to go out and interview him. And I said, oh, by the way, get Elton to read this.
Yeah.
And so therefore, Kathy would go out. What was it? I can't remember his name. Her name was Lyons. It was
Mary Lyons.
Mary Lyons used to work for AP. And she went out and she would hand this to Elton John after she did the interview, and she said, do you mind reading this for one of the engineers back at the station is going to build a brand new radio station out in Victorville? And everybody would say, where?
Yeah.
And so he would read that. In fact, there was another line in there someplace. I even wrote it, something like, hi, this is Elton John, and here's my latest song from, to all my listeners in Victor Valley over at KVVQ. And he says, I didn't even know I have a new song out. And Mary would say, well, it's something that would be used in the future. And here it is, 13 years, we're still using
Elton John.
And then Jethro Tull was in town, and somebody had to go out and interview him. So, hey, take this message. Al Stewart was in, who had Time Passages and a bunch of other songs. So I think there was even other celebrities and things that we probably have lost over 13 years, John, of different things that we've done anyway. So anyway, it's time for news.
Yeah, always to the number, right, John? He's like, all right, do the news. All right, so
I'll do it as Jethro Tull.
Or I'll stew it. All right, John's got the news, and then as soon as he's done with the news, we'll have some trivia questions and take some calls from listeners of from a long time ago.
We want to thank Cindy Hutter, who has brought over these FM cupcakes.
Right. Yeah, thanks,
I got to get
Cindy.
hold of an FM cupcake.
Okay. All right, John's got the news right here on KVVQ FM.
All right, 7:32 right